Hello, Maverick traders, and welcome out to your daily currency recap. This is Ankit here, and let's break down today's market price action. It's a Wednesday, October the 16th. Let's get into it. As always, we'll be breaking down today's market price action by looking at broader market analysis. We'll take a look at news events and what's happening in the currency baskets, and then we'll take a look at some possible setups ahead. Let's get into it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
As we jump into the market analysis, let's just jump right into the headlines of the numbers. And as the news of the day, again, market paired some of the losses that we had seen yesterday. Overall, if you take a look at the trend, we're still on the upside here, just getting a little back and forth. Now, as far as the consistency goes, it looks like the inflation is coming below estimates across the board. So we had the Canadian CPI that was below expectation. We had Kiwi CPI below expectation. And here we are with the UK CPI below expectation as well. So here we are, I think, seeing the broader trend here that inflation is no longer a worry. And right now, it's all about the jobs report. So, it's a fascinating shift that, we were worrying about inflation for this whole time. And now I think it's all about how the economy is doing, what the job market is looking like. And that's really going to impact what the central bank is going to do. So that's really where we are. Now, let's just take a look at the numbers here. And as we have highlighted this week, that the overall FX volatility is lower. And in the lower FX volatility, this is where, you look at the percentage moves. And you'll see that there's some currencies that are moving and some currencies that are not at all moving. Now, if you take a look at currencies like Swiss franc, take a look at the euro here, take a look at the Kiwi here. Again, basket-wise, they're not really moving. So what really moved today? Well, we are seeing a consistent strength in CAD, which is reversed after the CPI print yesterday. And a lot of times we are seeing these movements are happening either going into a news report or after a news report. And this CAD was a good trade after the news report where it's sort of buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. The CAD was weak and it just really turned that turn around. Where we are seeing consistent weakness is in the Aussie. But outside of that, you can see the dollar is staying strong. So really nothing much has changed. In certain currencies, dollar remains a dominant currency. Where you're seeing the Aussie that continue to be relatively weak. We had the British pound that did lower, but again, that just came out of that news event. We'll see what kind of aftermath we saw, but that's really after the inflation report that we saw pound weakness. And then we're seeing this back and forth happening in the yen. And again, I think markets are just missing that global sort of a volatility where, look at September. We have so much going on with the yen volatility, with the markets falling, and there's a whole lot. And right now, it seems to be quiet here. And this is, again, a good indication to only focus on things that are moving and just ignore whatever else it is, because that's really where the movements are happening. Now, if you take a look at the broader markets, you can see that S&P was down yesterday, and then we're seeing a recovery here. VT recovery, cryptos recovery. Gold continues to be on the upper end here, almost back to the resistance level, and then oil down. So if you just take a look at the broader markets, risk on sentiment right now for today. Now, as we jump into the crypto world, you can see that the Bitcoin consistently doing well. Bitcoin Cash jump a little bit, and Ethereum not really doing much, and Litecoin not participating much. Overall, in the crypto world, I think Bitcoin is the one that kind of looks the best here. Now, let's just jump into our market outlook and see what's changed. And if you take a look at the markets here, well, despite that little bearish engulfing candle yesterday, we got a bit of a bullish sort of a recovery. Are we going to break out yet? No, that's not really what we're seeing here. We might be going to consolidation here, but remember, the support is still in place here. So the market sentiment might be kind of going into sideways price action. Remember, we are getting close to the election. We're in this period where, we might see a back and forth before we can get a real big breakout one way or the other. Now, as far as the news event goes, you can see that this week is all about inflation data. So we had the UK inflation. You can see that was 1.7 versus 1.9. Here we are Kiwi last night, same thing. So we had the CPI over here from Canada that was below expectation. So it seems like inflation, that's a trajectory here. So let's talk about tomorrow. So tonight we have the Aussie employment report. And remember, Aussie is still pretty weak. So if this report comes out weaker than expected, I think a lot of the bearishness is already priced in. So that's something we have to always keep in mind, is the price action going into it. If the currency is already pricing in that weakness, then we don't really get a big news out of it. And there's a off chance sometimes you see a reversal, which is, again, by the rumors of the news. CAD, again, is a great example for that. As we go into tomorrow, we have the ECB press conference, and we can see that they're expected to cut rates by 25 basis points. So again, going into it, I'm not really seeing euro as a currency basket being really weak or strong. So I think the euro is going to react to it. There's still move to be had in the euro because there's nothing leading into it. So when we get the statement and we get the press conference, maybe we'll get that more of indication that how aggressive for future rate cuts they're looking at. So that's something we got to wait and watch for that. And also we had a bunch of US data as well. And remember, I'm all about trading in our news events right now because that's where we get a big jolt of the energy. That's what we need, the volatility. So we have the retail sales coming out of the US. And remember, dollar's pretty strong. But as we look at the news event, we'll see if this is a positive data for the USD or is it negative data for the USD. But again, that's purely trading the news event. Now, let's just jump into our currency analysis and see where we are. Let's take a look at the velocity score first, and we'll just jump into the charts here. As far as the velocity score goes, you can see that there's a bunch in the middle. So we have the dollar, which continues to be working well. CAD, as you can see, that really overtaken the dollar here. We'll take a look at the dollar CAD chart, but that was a one-way chart on dollar CAD for the last few days, and then seems like that's kind of turning over, which again gives a good opportunity for CAD pairs to sort of catch up to the USD. Now, Aussie remains at -3. I know we had the Kiwi and the pound news in the last 24 hours. We'll take a look at the chart, see if there's any more downside to it, and look at the euro. This is what I want to highlight. Euro, I think, can go either way tomorrow. Going into it, not really seeing a whole lot of bearishness or bullishness. So we just have to kind of wait and react to that news event tomorrow. Let's just jump into possible trades ahead and take a look at some setups.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
And looking at the setups here, I'm just going to start with where we are with the Canadian dollar. I talk about how buy the rumor, sell the new kind of thing. You can see how this thing on the news just turn around quite. Here's the news here. You can see that it's sold on the news, and then we just recovered right after. And that's what we always talk about, like how things could be priced in, and then it just goes the opposite way. So as we go into the euro tomorrow, that's the one thing I take a look at is, okay, what kind of things are pricing in? You can see that euro basket is pretty much sideways. For the, this is a daily chart. You can see this has not gone anywhere. So I think we just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow and then react off of it. But as far as the CAD goes, I think the daily chart looks better. It looks like it can easily test towards the resistance level. And then I want to highlight the chart between the dollar and the CAD. So again, if you take a look at the chart, you can see how one-way trade this was. Even if you go on a 4-hour chart, you can see that this thing was just one way, going from 134.50 area almost to 138. You can see how things turn over here. We got a low base over here, and we got a break off the low base. So clearly, based on the chart, it's telling us that CAD is a better strong pair compared to the dollar. And it doesn't matter what we think about CAD. It doesn't matter what our outlook is. In that shorter term, you can see that the CAD is gaining, especially against the USD as well. And if you take a look at the weak currencies, Like Aussie is the one that's continuing to be weak here. If you take a look at this chart, this looks like a nice bear rally pattern to me. This is a nice strong support level. We got a nice little bear rally here, and we're right at the support here. So at this point, it looks like if this continues to break here, this has a lot more further downside. If that's the case, we can take a look at some setups here, like Aussie CAD to the downside. You can see it just stopped right at the support here. So maybe we'll see a bit of a bounce here to short into. But remember, we have the Aussie employment report tonight, so we've got to watch out for that. I won't be surprised if we just get a bit of a relief rally in the Euro Aussie, but I think ultimately I want to be shorting those rallies here. Now, on the counterpart here, on the Kiwi side, you can see this thing has kind of stabilized here a little bit. This was quite weak, and now it's just going sideways here. So not really want to touch the Kiwi here. I think you'll probably consolidate a little bit here. Now, we take a look at the pound, which again was a bit of a big mover today. You can see that we got the initial move, and now we just get in between here. So if it breaks below the support, I don't mind taking a look at a short trade on that one. You can see that the daily chart is kind of stuck in between these ranges. So not a high probability trade here. I think this is more choppy to me, but this is something that, I can start with a half a position size and kind of move on from there. But I think all focus is going to be on the euro tomorrow. And then we'll take a look at how it fares with the Swiss franc as well. Remember, that Swiss franc trend is just sideways. This is zero. So we get this velocity moves on a day-to-day basis, but, focus on the trend. Trend's not going anywhere. Now, if you take a look at the trend, this is where the trend has been. Got a big reversal here and really hasn't really pulled back since then. So this is where the trend has been, more to the downside. So the more often you trade with the trend, the better results you're going to get. And then things are sideways, market is at zero, and wait for them to trend. Aussie is a great example where it took a while for this to trend lower, but you can see that eventually this is heading lower. So Aussie, again, remains the underperformer. I got to watch out for the Aussie employment report tonight, and then we'll see if there's a bounce, then do we sell that bounce? Or if it goes down on the news, does it recover how the CAD did? So you got to watch out for that. But again, my focus is going to be on tomorrow with the ECB, and we also have the US data, the retail sales, and the economic unemployment claims. So in conclusion, again, remember, Forex is lacking that broader volatility where everything is moving. Now, whatever is moving in the shorter term, either it's the dollar, it's the CAD, it's the Aussie, that's really where, make those pairings. Outside of that, I don't want to be getting into something where it's just not going anywhere. Again, Euro will be in focus tomorrow, so watch all the Euro crosses. Best case scenario, worst case scenario, and then the U.S. economic data again will be in focus as well. So hopefully we can catch some moves off from that news. So that's all for now. Thanks for joining again. If you're not really finding great opportunities, no reason to rush into it. Keep it on the sideline. Wait for that opportunity and then jump on it. So quality over quantity is the key here. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next one. Bye.